Hi guys, I am here today to talk to you about my pregnancy, my labour and the birth of this child down here. This is Bellatrix Salvador Shaw.
Hyphen.
Sorry, the hyphen. She is now
5.5 weeks?
Yeah, 5.5 weeks, nearly 6. She was born on the 7th of March at 5:25 p.m. weighing
7 pounds 11.
7 pounds 11 ounces. And we measured her when we got home because they don't measure at hospitals anymore. It's not like a health thing anymore, so they don't bother. And she measured 58 centimeters. And now, at the age of nearly 6 weeks, we think. Yeah, roughly, she's already 65 centimeters. And apparently they have their growth spurt at about 6 weeks, so she's probably going to grow a shitload more.
6 foot.
Yeah. People want to know how plain sailing pregnancy is, or if they came across any complications, if certain things are normal. Also, labour, how long labour was, birth, if it hurts, blah, 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 stuff like that. Okay, so, first topic is pregnancy. So we found out, if you see me looking down, by the way, I've got notes. We found out I was pregnant at 5 weeks. 5 weeks from the end of my last period. Is that how they work it out?
Yes.
But when I took the test, it only said 1 to 2 weeks. So that's how you decipher that. In terms of symptoms and stuff, I got morning sickness from weeks 6 to 12, although I didn't really feel it as like crazily as some other people have done, because I was prescribed cyclazine, which is an anti-sickness medication. This is because of my emetophobia, which you guys probably already know about. Between 12 and 16 weeks, it was pretty plain sailing after that. Didn't really have any side effects or symptoms or anything. Side effects? It's not really a side effect, it's a symptom of being pregnant, apart from the fact that my belly was getting bigger, and even then I was still quite small when I had her. So between weeks 16 to 18, that's when I started feeling Bella moving, and I also got my symphysis pubis dysfunction, which is like pelvic girdle, where basically the way they describe it is your pubic bone, the bit that your vagina or your penis is attached to on the outside, it's like a bone like this interlocking. You kind of think of a pelvis as one kind of thing, like your hips and then down to the pubic bone. Your pubic bone is actually like 2 bones like this, and when you get SPD, SPD, symphysis pubis dysfunction, these bones start to grind up against each other when you walk or when there's a certain amount of weight on it, and then it's stretching because baby's weight's on it and all of that. So that also happened at the same time that I started feeling her, because obviously she was getting bigger and heavier. A lot of people ask, and also I wanted to know as well when I was pregnant, what kicks, like baby kicks and stuff, felt like when they're in you. That sounds weird. When they're inside your belly. I don't really know. Some people describe it as like bubbles popping. Some say that it feels like wind or gas. I don't know. It kind of felt weird. It kind of did feel like when you kind of need to pass wind out of the back door, the back floof, you kind of get that rumbly kind of feeling. It felt a little bit like that, but a lot lighter, and it did kind of have that popping sensation. I don't know, it's unlike anything I felt, so I couldn't really compare it to much. Around about this time as well, I also started leaking, which is really, really weird. You just wake up one morning and it's like, oh, my top's wet, what the hell happened? Did I drool onto my nipple? But yeah, it's all completely normal. It's basically your boobs just getting ready to feed your child. Sometimes people can get it really, really, really early, earlier than 16 to 18 weeks. So I was pretty lucky that I got it sort of towards, not really towards the end, is it? It was kind of the middle of the pregnancy. Wayne started being able to feel her kicking, so from the outside, at about 20 to 21 weeks. And what did it feel like? Obviously, to me, it feels completely different as to how it feels to you.
I don't know, like, I don't know. Like somebody touching you with their elbow. Weirdly.
that what it felt like?
Yeah.
Did it feel like me, like literally me just going like that, or did it feel like there was something in the way, or?
It felt like something was in the way. It felt like.
I also had,
was...
by the way, sorry, I had a front, what was it called? An anterior?
Yeah.
An anterior placenta, so it was like the front of my belly, it was like right on the front. So when she was kicking forwards, you wouldn't actually be able to feel it as intense as if my placenta was where it should be.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
It felt like something was kicking.
Like blocking it.
It was in the way. It almost felt swollen.
Yeah.
Something swollen was kicking.
Yeah. We went for 3D/4D HD scans. Not at the hospital. Those were obviously the ones that you get for free during your pregnancy. But we also went for 2 at 17 weeks and 34 weeks. 34 weeks we actually left it a little bit too late. They thought they weren't going to be able to scan it as well, but we got some really, really good images. If I've got any images, by the way, I'll insert them on the screen. So at 17 weeks, that's when we found out that it was a girl at this 3D/4D scan, and we went to Hello Baby in Thatto Heath in St Helens. St Helens, is it classed as St Helens?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, they were really good. The sonographers are really amazing, so thumbs up for that.
Great word.
What? Sonographer. I know. Yeah. I didn't get any cravings. I went off a particular type of olive that I was in love with from Aldi. They're called the Norsellana or the Norsellana olives. I love them now again, but these ones in particular from Aldi, for some reason when I was pregnant, or they were just going off for some reason every time I bought them, they started to like taste of cheese, and it just, I love cheese and I love olives, but it was just the wrong kind of cheese, you know?
Cheese is a kind of meat.
A tasty, tasty treat. My birth plan was you as my birth partner, no pain relief apart from gas and air or Entonox, yeah, is that what they call it? And I wanted a pool birth and labour as well in the pool. Oh, also before that, I went for some blood tests and it came back that my hemoglobin or whatever it's called count was low, so I had iron deficiency. I was prescribed tablets, but those tablets obviously they make you feel really sluggish and sick and just not very nice. So there was often that I wouldn't take them because I'd forget, or I wouldn't take them because I wasn't keen on being constipated and feeling sick, and because as it is, you're pregnant, you've got aches and pains and you're tired. The last thing you want is to feel worse. So I was putting off taking them. However, I wish I had taken them because obviously it would have caused me problems later on, and we'll get into that. Do you want to say something?
No, just breathing.
Oh, I didn't get any headaches, no heartburn, no indigestion, no diarrhea. I got slight constipation, but I've got a feeling that might have been due to the iron tablets. At about 20 weeks, this is all really jumbled, by the way, so just listen out to what you can. At about 20 weeks, I started feeling her hiccup. She was a prolific hiccuper. Wow, say that 5 times fast.
Prolific hiccuper.
And she still is. Wow, she's like fast asleep. Is she even in shot? A little bit. I didn't get any Braxton Hicks, as far as I'm aware, throughout the whole pregnancy, even towards the end. Even though later on I was hooked up to a monitor and it did look like I was having Braxton Hicks, but I wasn't feeling them. So there's that. And yeah, that's about it really for my pregnancy. It's all a bit mishmashed. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can because obviously there's 3 sections to this story, and the next 2 sections Wayne's involved, so it could get a little bit more lengthy. But yeah, that's about it with the pregnancy, isn't it? Why are you laughing? Because I said lengthy.
No.
Oh.
Wayne's involved, it's going to get lengthy.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's about it really. The one thing that I hated in pregnancy was my symphysis pubis dysfunction. I love saying that. I feel like I'm a doctor. Because Wayne's a fast walker and I couldn't keep up with him. And I normally can. I've always grown up walking around with my dad and stuff, and he's a really fast walker. So then when Wayne came along and he was a fast walker, I could keep up even though
When I came along.
Because he's a lanky thing. But I could still keep up with you. But
full of compliments.
when I was pregnant, it was very, very difficult. Like, he'd just leave me and he wouldn't realise that I wasn't anywhere near. Would you?
No.
No. I couldn't go very far. I'd literally go 10 minutes outside of the house and have to turn back because it was that painful. Couldn't put my pants on myself. What else? Couldn't sit down properly, couldn't stand up after I'd sat down. If I was out for longer than 10 minutes, when I sat down, it was an effort to get back up again. That was the worst thing about pregnancy, I think.
It was a very, very, very quick 9 months.
Very quick 9 months. It was. It doesn't feel like it was 9 months. And it's weird to think that she's here now. And it's like, she was in my belly. How did that fit in here? Because I wasn't big. There was no way that I looked as big as I should have done for the size that she was.
No.
Do you know what I mean? One thing I felt as well, actually, was her in my ribs a lot. It was her feet in the end, because she'd already flipped around. And yeah, she was proper hammering away at my ribs, wasn't she? At what week did she...
Phil Collins style.
At what age? At what week did she flip and become engaged?
She flipped round at...
Was it 34-ish?
I've got 34 in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been when we went for the second scan.
Yeah, 34.
In Plateau Heath, yeah. So about 34 weeks she flipped. But some engage a lot quicker. Some engage like right at the last minute when you're in labour. So I was quite lucky because I was scared that she was going to be like breech or...
Yeah.
With my placenta being at the front, I thought she might get a little bit confused and be like, it's not supposed to be here. Next we have labour. Labour in total was how long?
4 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so it was...
4 hours, 24 minutes?
Oh my God. The way it happened was we were at home on the 6th of March. Nope, 7th of March, the day she was born. We were at home, asleep. I woke up at 4 in the morning.
5.
No. Let me finish. I woke up at 4 in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep. Then, for some reason, managed to get back to sleep, woke up again at 5, and had this kind of urge to go to the toilet. As you do when you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. Woke up, got up, and I felt like something come out. Okay, this is, by the way, this is going to start getting TMI. So, if you're like triggered by any of this stuff, then sign off. So at 5 I got up to go to the toilet and I felt like something falling out. So like when you start your period, basically, it feels like that. You're not freaked out by stuff like that though, are you? No. Yeah, so it felt like something was coming out and I was like, shit, it's my plug, mucus plug, which they describe as like a thick consistency. It might be like a mucus that you get like day to day in your pants, but with like streaks of blood or streaks of like brown, or just depending on how fresh the blood is. I was like, oh cool, okay, this is starting. Went to the toilet, pulled my pants down, and I've been wearing liners for the past, from about 34 weeks, because obviously you don't know when your mucus plug is going to fall out, which sounds really weird. So obviously you don't want to keep damaging your knickers or whatever, so I had a panty liner on from about that stage. So pulled my pants down and my liner was completely drenched with bright red blood. And when you look at all these websites online and they say if you're like bright red, then you need to go to like A&E ASAP. So that's it. I've got anxiety and all sorts, so I'm like, oh shit, that's it, like we're gonna die, is the first thing I thought. Because when you see bright red blood, it's either your period or something's wrong. So yeah, woke Wayne up and I said, Wayne, I think we need to go to the hospital. He's like in and out of sleep, like what? Not quite understanding what's going on. And then I tell him like, oh, I'm bleeding. Doesn't look anything like a mucus plug. It just literally looks like someone's cut themselves, doesn't it? So I put on another sanitary towel and we go to the hospital. We'd already had our hospital bags for weeks. All of ours were packed. We rang a cab, got in the cab, and made our way to the hospital, didn't we? So we got to the hospital. You can help me out here because my memory's a bit fuzzy now. We got to the hospital and we were sat in the induction waiting room, which is like an A&E, but not an A&E. It's like a... Basically, if you're there to be induced or you're is it towards the later stages of pregnancy? It's like a little place like that. So we were in there waiting for triage, weren't we? We were waiting for about an hour and a bit.
Was it?
Yeah. Remember, because we got there at... What time did we get there?
About 6.
I think we were only seen at about 7 or something. Oh. So yeah, we were waiting an hour for a nurse to come and see us. Nurse came, brought us into the induction room, but there was no plan to have me induced. It was just like where they assess you. So they took me in and hooked me up to a monitoring system. So they get your belly out and they get 2 straps with like what is it, like a sensor, like an ultrasonic type thing. One to measure your contractions and one to monitor baby's heartbeat. Baby's heartbeat was fine the whole time we were there. And I had a little clicker as well, so every time I felt her move I would click, and that's just to make sure that she's moving as she should. The contraction monitor, what was it doing? It was kind of showing irregular contractions.
Yeah, they were irregular and they were probably going up to about
35, was
35, 40.
What was it measured in?
Oh God knows.
Basically, when you're hooked up to this contraction thing,
volts.
It goes for, what's the maximum? Or is there no maximum?
There wasn't a maximum.
There was a maximum. Okay,
no.
So it starts off at 0 when you're not having any contractions, and then as your contractions get like higher and higher, stronger and stronger, the number increases, and then mine would peak at 35, wouldn't it? And then it'd just taper back down. But I wasn't really feeling them. It kind of, I think that might have been my Braxton Hicks, but 1, I've never felt them before. 2, they compare it to period cramps, but I never really got period cramps or get period cramps, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to. So it was all very kind of up in the air. They decided to check if I was at all dilated. If I wasn't, they'd send me home, and I was 3 centimeters. So, oh God, cats. I was 3 centimeters dilated, which means that potentially that blood loss that I had was actually my mucus plug, also known as the bloody show, so you know what to expect, to be honest.
Although they didn't put it down.
No, they didn't put it down as my bloody show. They put it down as a hemorrhage. So just that I was bleeding. With no explanation. But to me, if I was already dilated, there was nothing there because they could go in. So how they actually know, without getting a tape measure out, how dilated someone is, I don't know.
They just know like, by the finger spaces, don't they?
Yeah, but not everyone's fingers are the same size.
No, but they'll know. They'll have been trained.
They'll know. Once we were told that I was 3 centimeters dilated, that's when they told us that we were going to stay in. So we were like, oh my God, this is actually happening. We've been waiting so long for this day to come. I'd had curries, we had pineapple, what's it called? The birthing ball. I was bouncing on that.
Went for a 3-mile
Went for
hike.
3-mile walk with my like pubis dysfunction thing, which was torture, but nothing was happening. She wasn't engaging anymore. It just, what's up? So yeah, nothing was happening, so I was like, oh, she's gonna be late, and everyone was saying she was gonna be late, but she ended up being 2 days early. So after that we were moved into another room. This was the delivery suite.
No, you went from the training room to the induction suite, and then from the induction suite you went into your own room on delivery suite.
Ah, okay, right, so this other room I was hooked up again. Yeah, and then we did the same thing, so monitoring my contractions, her heartbeat and her thing. Oh yeah, and they put in a cannula, which I think I'm gonna have a scar for the rest of my life.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's see if I can show you. Don't think I can. Wait, that little dot there that looks like a piece of nothing, that had a massive needle in it. It was thick. It wasn't even like that it was long. No, it was pretty long as well, but it was like a girthy needle. I hate the word girth.
Girthy.
But anyway, yeah, so the cannula was in my arm because, did they take blood when I was there? Yeah, they took blood and urine. Urine came back a-okay, but my blood came back again saying that my iron deficiency was obviously low. So they put the cannula in because they didn't know how much of a blood loss I was going to have during delivery, and if I needed a blood transfusion, they would have to do it ASAP. Little did I know having this cannula in would bugger me up for something in the future. We then got delivered. We then got transferred to the delivery suite into our delivery room, room 7.
Room 7.
Yeah,
On the
7th.
7th of March.
This was the room when we did the hospital tour that we were like, oh my god, this is the room that I want. It had a massive birthing pool, it had twinkly lights, it had like a lovely like hospital bed.
Shower room.
Absolutely massive room, shower room, toilet, everything. It was the perfect room, and I was like, I have to have this room.
So much space in there as well.
But we were told during the, what's it called? The tour. That room is normally used for slightly higher risk patients. Now, I don't know if they considered me high risk with the iron deficiency being low and them describing me as a hemorrhage instead of a bloody show.
Hemorrhage sounds like
death.
Really, really bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. We ended up being in the room that we wanted after all, even though obviously we were hoping for like an easy pregnancy. I mean, an easy labour and birth, which in the end it was, but not entirely. Get to that in a minute. So, oh, watch it till the end. I went back on the monitoring. I was hooked up to some cables and stuff again to make sure that she was okay, I was okay, blah 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 blah. And that's when they started noticing that I was getting slightly stronger contractions, wasn't it? Yeah. They
checked your
then
dilation.
checked my dilation, and
4.
it was 4. No. I was 3, and then I jumped.
Oh, yeah.
And I was between 6 and 7 centimeters dilated. So at this stage, they're like, okay, you should probably be induced. You're going to be having a baby anytime soon now. And that's when they decided to break my waters. I was stripped from the waist down. I just had my socks on. Classy bird.
Sexy.
And I didn't feel anything. They basically get this long hook thing with like a tiny little, a little pirate claw on the end. And then they just go, whoop, and then they go.
It doesn't make those noises. It's not an animation.
Wait, was there a thing to open me up? There was, wasn't there? Otherwise they couldn't see what they were doing.
No.
Did they not open me up?
No.
Oh. Well, she just went in there and she popped it, and there was no pain, no discomfort whatsoever. Didn't even realise she'd done it until it was like, whoosh. It was literally, that's what it felt like.
Again, no noises.
It would have been funny if it made a whooshing.
Whoosh! Kapow!
That's what she made when she came out. If there was a sound effect, it would be whoosh, because it was everywhere. I don't even think they were expecting that much fluid to come out.
Your socks were wet.
Oh, that's the only thing I can describe it as. It was hot. It was like I'd pissed myself, but like I'd been holding this piss in for 10 years. It was that much. Because towards the end of your pregnancy, you lose water. So she soaks in a lot of the water and it just dispels somewhere. You don't piss it out or anything, it just goes. Okay, so my camera overheated and Bella started crying. So we're going to try and do this bit really quickly. So, they broke my waters. It was very whooshy. And straight after that, I started getting contractions. They were intense, to say the least. I started on gas and air straight away after they broke my waters, didn't I?
Yeah, it was weird. You just stopped talking. You were just like completely silent. You didn't want anything apart from just getting in the zone.
Yeah, I think I didn't expect to. One, for the pain to be as intense as it was. I always thought that the actual birth would be more intense than the labour. Also, I was still hooked up to monitoring systems, but these were wireless ones, so they could still monitor everything. And whereas at first my like pre-labour, early contractions, Braxton Hicks, that kind of thing, was peaking at 35. 35 was like the lowest now, and the top was like...
You were hitting 120?
It was going well over. and they were insane.
I just remember looking at the screen and going, 120.
See, I didn't see him do that.
But you were just like silent. It was impressive to see. You were just taking it on the chin.
Yeah. And at this point, I was still like, no, I only want gas and air. Like, I don't want anything else.
Which soon changed.
Then I went to the birth pool, and I was told that I couldn't put my hand that had the cannula in for the blood transfusion, just in case I needed it. I couldn't put it in the water, which meant that I just felt like really unstable. Speaking of unstable, oh God. I just felt really unstable, and I only had one hand in the water, the other one was out, and it was just really awkward. And then obviously with the intense pain, I was just getting really pissed off. So I was asking for like all sorts. I was asking for epidural. What's wrong? You're not the one that's in pain. So I was asking for the injection. I was asking for an epidural. Basically anything that they could give me to stop the pain, and they were like, no, it's too late, you're basically 10 centimeters dilated now. I then got the urge to push in the in the pool.
About 3 o'clock.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock. But
at which time I was downstairs getting a sandwich, a can of apple tango, and a Mars bar.
Yeah. Oh, and we hadn't had breakfast because obviously with it being at 5 a.m. when we got up, we weren't hungry for breakfast, we were panicky, so we got to the hospital. So I'm doing this all on an empty stomach, which I'm very surprised at. But yeah, so I wanted to push in the pool but didn't feel comfortable because of the cannula, so got back on the bed. And she's crying again. So we got back, I got back on the bed. Well, technically there was another person there. I got back on the bed, and what happened? Oh, I started pushing then. They brought up the stirrups and everything. I tried pushing on my side, on all fours, legs in the stirrups. How did I end up like pushing properly? It was like one leg on the stirrup, wasn't it, on my side?
Yeah, on all fours.
No.
At the end you were on all fours.
No, I wasn't.
You're on all fours.
At the end, I was on my back.
Were you?
Because they helped me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the only position that I found comfortable was on my side with one leg on the stirrup.
On gas and air.
On gas and air, yeah.
Gas and air as well. One hilarious point.
It made me sound like Darth Vader, basically.
Yeah, it was like it was like, and then every so often, because she'd get her tongue stuck in it, it'd go.
No, it wasn't my tongue.
What was it?
Just air.
Oh, because air would get stuck in it, it'd go.
Which was funny at first when my contractions were at 35. When they're at like 100, 120, it's not bloody funny.
I was laughing.
Yeah. So, what were you talking about? I've still got baby brain, by the way.
You were just pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah, and then they started noticing that I was getting tired.
Yeah.
And
you started to get the shakes quite intensely.
Yeah, I was basically, my body was going into shock. And I was weak, and yeah, everything was just not going well, so they had to basically intervene, and they brought someone in to do a ventouse delivery, and that's basically just a vacuum that they put on top of baby's head to suck her up. So when you're having a contraction, you're pushing and they're pulling, and that only took 4 minutes. From them attaching the ventouse to actually pulling her out, it took 4 minutes, which was insane. Before they actually managed to get it on her head, they had to cut me. The best way to like recover from that kind of trauma is for you to tear naturally, because obviously your muscles down there and your skin and your tissue rip in a way that they know that they can then rebuild themselves and attach themselves.
Yeah.
But because they had to cut, it's a blunt line, and your body obviously didn't make that when it ripped. So they cut me, but then I ripped a little bit.
A bit like sanding a piece of wood against the grain.
Yeah, it just basically wasn't supposed to go like that. So they did that, didn't feel it. The worst bit about that bit was them putting the actual vacuum inside me to then put onto her head. I don't know what it was made of. Some are made of metal, some are made of plastic. I don't know. I didn't see it. Not that I would have minded seeing it because I'm not freaked out about anything like that whatsoever. But yeah, when they put the vacuum in and on her head, that was like pretty much unbearable. It was like the top end of the contractions. And that was it, 4 minutes, and she was out. Then...
At which point I broke.
Yeah, he started crying. I didn't cry, funnily enough.
I've been sat there for 2.5 hours on edge, and then as soon as she came out, I just I couldn't even talk.
She didn't really cry, did she?
No.
She was like completely calm as a whistle. She was covered in Vernix, which is it Vernix? Yeah, Lanugo's the hair, Vernix is the white stuff. So she was completely covered. They actually were quite shocked at how greasy she was.
For a full term,
yeah. So my cut ended up being a 2nd degree episiotomy, which was fine while she was doing it. She gave me some local anaesthetic in that area so that she could then stitch me up. Didn't feel the stitches whatsoever. Not uncomfortable, not painful. It just felt like someone was like pulling at my skin, but I couldn't feel it. There was a substantial amount of blood, wasn't there?
There was that much blood that there was footprints of blood all over the floor from all the doctors going in and out.
There were quite a lot of people in there.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And then...
Doctors, nurses, midwives.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. And then the girl that was stitching me up after she'd snipped me and taken Bella out, put a suppository in my bottom that was meant to last 16 hours, and this was an anti-inflammatory and a painkiller. However, it was fine. I didn't feel anything after I'd given birth to her. I was quite happy. Nothing, I couldn't feel anything. Got transferred to another ward where it's like the recovery ward basically. And how many hours was it? Like 4?
From birth we got transferred into the room at about 9 and then
about 11 I think.
Yeah.
A couple of hours later, after I'd had a shower, got into bed, we were trying to get to sleep, and my arse felt like a swollen, like baboon's arse. Like it just felt hard, swollen, and it was so painful. I asked them for some pain relief, like something really strong, but they couldn't give it to me because these painkillers were supposed to last 16 hours. So I couldn't take anything strong or another like suppository till those 16 hours were up. And the suppository didn't fall out, nothing like that, because I didn't go to the toilet until like the day after or so. So it wasn't that. It just didn't work for me for some reason. So the only thing that they could give me was paracetamol, wasn't it? So I was on paracetamol for an episiotomy, and like after birth, that didn't work. So after that, what happened? Oh yeah, I was complaining so much that they ended up giving me a glove with ice cubes in it so that I could shove it down my pants. That's how bad it was. And even then it wasn't that great. And then I've got a feeling that's when I got infected. Because I had a strange glove with God knows what on it down my pants. Basically my episiotomy stitches got infected, split open. And I was in a hell of a lot of pain. I had high fevers, the shakes, everything. Got prescribed some antibiotics, took them, got rid of it, that's fine. And now it's like still healing, and there's still like a tiny little bit of like fleshy bit left, but it's nowhere near what it was
you're
it?
pretty much finding yourself, aren't you?
In terms of like internal bleeding, obviously, your uterus has to contract and go back to its original size after having a child inside it. But that can take up to 6 weeks to completely stop bleeding. I am nearly 6 weeks, so it should start to subside. I get heavier bleeds, not like heavy as in bright red, but like I can feel it more coming out after I've done a breastfeed, but apparently that's just due to the hormones. But other than that, it's been alright, hasn't it? Everything seems to be going, thankfully, back to normal. She's happy, she's healthy. She's spitting up a lot, which is annoying, especially when she does her full-on, like, everything comes out. Yeah, that can get a bit intense, but...
That's baby for you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to tell you guys, because I know it's interesting. I wanted to know... I was watching Anna Sacconi's videos about her pregnancy to see if it matched up with mine, so I know that these videos are interesting and people want to know stuff like this. So
yeah, one tip for people that are pregnant and going in like wanting to know stuff: don't Google anything.
Yeah, don't Google anything.
So much shit.
You're already stressed out being pregnant, so if you Google it,
people will say different things.
It always ends up with you dying.
Yeah, people say different things, but every single pregnancy is different.
Yeah, I've got an itchy toe, or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's the same with, you know, like, you get those apps and stuff in pregnancy where it's like, oh, your baby is now the size of a watermelon. And it's like, well, not everyone's will be the size of a watermelon. That's why when babies are born, they're different sizes and different weights.
Watermelons can be different sizes.
Exactly.
And then the further you get into the pregnancy, they start bringing out these unknown fruits. Like your like a banana, watermelon. Your baby is now the size of a deer. It's now the size of a deer, bro.
A deer, bro. Kevin Hart. Shout out.
Hashtag.
Hashtag deer, bro.
I was just gonna go hashtag.
No, it's like that.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Do it again, Wayne.
I don't know the lingo.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
I hope that it's been an experience to like listen to what we went through. If you have any questions of anything that I haven't answered, whether it be about pregnancy, labour, birth or her, ask them down below and I will answer them. Also go over to our vlogging channel where we're uploading weekly to just see her progress and stuff like that. We'll be doing like baby hauls and stuff like that on this channel as well, so keep subscribed and give us a good old thumbs up.
Yeah.
Bye.